It's a question that has divided mankind since the beginning of time. Well, okay, since 1977. Which is the king of sci-fi, Star Trek or Star Wars? Tonight we attempt to unravel all the complexities involved in this most basic struggle inside of us all. So let's get into it on The Men Are Talking. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Men Are Talking. It is the episode you've all been waiting for. Star Wars versus Star Trek. We already know which one has the best theme song. No, that's not it.
That's incorrect.
It is definitely...
That's closer to
It is
correct.
definitely the Imperial March. Is the absolute greatest
Doctor Who, if
ever.
anyone can catch that.
So good that when you're watching, say, a football game and they're marching down the field, what does the band start playing?
Not the Star Trek thing.
They do not. They don't have a theremin. Hey, Ferg is here.
Yay!
Ferg, we're just getting started.
Yay.
Perfect timing.
Awesome.
Timing.
Yeah.
Timing.
Timing.
Used to play that Imperial March as my trainees would come in to take their final, and then I was told by admin that it was really ratcheting some of them their stress levels up.
That was the point, wasn't it?
Basically, to fail the week.
Yeah. Fuck those kids.
Kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh, wow. Harsh. Nice. Hello.
Go Lions.
Fergie's arrived.
All right. So, So tonight we're going to be discussing Star Wars versus Star Trek. We are going to begin with Bill, who is wearing a shirt that says, "Red shirt, I might not make it."
Are we
Fantastic.
starting or are we introducing?
Introducing.
How's it going, everybody? Live long and prosper.
And UPC.
Of all the souls I've ever met, yours was the most human.
Very nice.
And Ferg.
What's up?
Michael.
I haven't had time to prepare.
It's alright. It's alright.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And Paul.
So the Jeopardy Star Wars question, answer is, I know, and the category is,
I love
I
you.
love you. Hello.
And of course I'm Larry, and Paul stole mine,
So sorry,
which
brother.
is the greatest, the most romantic line in a movie ever, which is "I know." All right, so let's dive into it. We are not going to be starting with Ferg because he hasn't had time to prepare.
Or shave.
Yeah, he hasn't read the script yet.
We have a script. I've been going on script all.
You didn't know
I
there was a
send it
script?
to you every week.
If you don't come
You've
to the
been right
production
on,
meetings,
right on script every week.
Nah.
You haven't been reading it?
No.
I just know you that well.
That checks out.
All right, so this week we are going to start with UPC.
Really?
We are.
Wow.
I know. So give it to us.
Star Wars versus Star Trek. Okay. First of all, I'm of, as most of us here are, of the generation where we had the original Star Wars trilogy starting with Episode 4. but
or as
the
we
film
knew
A
it,
New Hope.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star
Or was
Wars.
it called A New Hope?
Empire, Jedi, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, those are very classic films, very deeply ingrained, and they're still great to watch. Jedi, even from the first viewing, I was a little bit like, what is this freaking Muppet stuff with the Ewoks and whatever? I never liked that, but nonetheless, self-contained, without having any knowledge that that was going to be some giant, multi-decade franchise with all this other stuff and spin-off series and whatever. I thought that just as itself was concise enough. We didn't need more BS. Star Trek, I'm not old enough to have watched the original series on air, but I definitely watched it in reruns as a child.
Right.
The original series, it was tough. I have since come to love it and really find it to be the greatest, in a way, of the Star Trek canon. But foam rocks and weird Shatner double-fisted judo chops to the back of the neck. I mean, seriously, like even
Did you watch more than one episode?
as an 8-year-old, I'm just like, this is silly. But of course, you have to understand the constraints of practical and special effects at the time. But Star Wars really jumped the shark with, of course, everyone chime in with episode
One.
The
Phantom
Phantom
Menace.
Menace.
Piece of shit.
And some people are able to get over that. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not able to get over that. That killed the entire thing for me. The other, well, in addition to that, is the re-releases of the original ones, where they added these shittily unnecessary CGI motherfucking shit that just made no sense, and it was just to make it more.
I think Industrial Light and Magic, who got a huge paycheck for making those shittily CGI stuff, would disagree with you.
But if we want to do a callback,
They're the only ones.
if we want to do a callback to the computer episode, I think all of that ILM stuff was done on an SGI Indy, which I have 3 of them in my closet right now. The technology wasn't there. It was poorly done. Now, let me go philosophical on you. Abstractly. Star Wars is a fantasy. Star Trek is sci-fi. And for that ultimate overarching reason, I am in the Star Trek camp for sure. Now, Star Trek has definitely done some things that I disagree with, and I'm willing to state those, but I don't want to monopolize the mic at this time.
Since when?
But ultimately, they are dealing with situations that are problems that are answerable using the known existing laws of physics. They use logic, even if we're not talking about Vulcans, we're talking about humans and other alien creatures, Klingons, whatever. They all have rational reasons for what they do. Whereas Star Wars, everything is based on a feeling. It's based on the Force. There is no explanation of the technology behind what they're doing. It is just, and there are all these, shit kicker planets of mining motherfuckers but that still have lasers and
How else are you
hyperdrive.
gonna mine?
And they have lasers and hyperdrive, but nobody explains like how and how this stuff works. It doesn't have to get repaired. It doesn't break down. But they're also living in dung beetle huts.
Whoa!
Well, that is shittily drawn shit.
Hey,
Well,
first off, one of the major plot points of Empire Strikes Back is the hyperdrive doesn't work.
Millennium Falcon breaks down all the time.
Well, yes, of course. It's
UPC,
the only ship that breaks down ever.
UPC, just admit you quit becoming a Star Wars fan when you heard Yoda and it scared you. He said, "Show me your dark side, you will."
Yes.
No, it's okay. One more thing, midichlorians.
Yes.
Oh.
Midichlorians.
No.
Midichlorians.
No.
So if the Force is tied to some sort of parasitic infection of midichlorians,
Which
in
was
your
only mentioned in
bloodstream-
one movie.
Yeah,
And
then
never
they, and then
again.
they ignored it, and they don't incorporate that into the canon. Then why hasn't anyone just fucking cloned midichlorians and created Jedis or Sith Lords or whatever the fuck, and just make an entire universe full of genetically engineered midichlorian-filled motherfuckers?
Because it was a
who
stupid
can do that
idea.
shit. Yeah, exactly,
tell
exactly,
them.
and that's why I'm out.
Okay.
Can yes, Paul.
I just wanted to verify something for our dear listeners. UPC was mentioning he was giving a descriptor of the poor ILM CGI stuff, and he used a scatological descriptor, which Bill and Larry repeated, and you can just ask the next movie executive that you meet. That scatological term is absolutely a cinematic term of art. It is used all of the time to describe horrible things.
Shittily?
Yes, exactly, 100%.
That's an industry.
Oh, no, it's there.
argo.
No, 100%. Yeah, no. There's most of them. When you used to have abbreviations, you just hit a button. And it's like, what do you think about this? It's done. Yeah,
Shittily.
100%.
I love that.
So
adverb.
just so you
Shittily
know,
is a great
we
adverb.
want it right. We want you to have fun and be educated on this
Because
podcast.
you can modify an adjective.
That is,
Or
Well,
Yeah.
but I would like to also point out that at that point in time, though, it was pushing boundaries. I mean, like 98 was when episode 1 came out, and let's not even talk about that. Well, we won't talk about it right now. Yeah, Michael.
I would also like to point out that Star Trek wouldn't be what it is now without Star Wars.
Agreed.
Because the success of Star Wars is what caused them to go, hey, maybe we can reboot Star Trek in the first movie.
Valid
Star
point.
Trek the motion picture?
Correct.
The feature?
Yes.
Which was a shit movie. wasn't it?
No, actually, it's one of my
It was
two
a
favorite
great
Star
movie.
Trek motion
It
pictures.
was really good.
1 and 2 are the
I
best
saw-
Star Trek motion
I
pictures.
have
For different reasons.
I have to say, without giving anything away what's coming later, I have seen every Star Trek movie in the theater.
wow, that's
Well,
excellent.
well, my mom's a huge Star Trek fan, and she introduced me to Star Trek when I was young, and so every time a movie comes out, my dad was not a science fiction fan, so I was always the one who got to go to the movies with her. And we kept that going, even when the J.J. Abrams stuff came out.
I like the J.J. Abrams stuff.
I did too. Yeah, once it came out and was like, no, this isn't the same universe.
No, yes.
This is
That made it all
And then
better.
it was like, oh, okay.
Well, that's
I'm
one-
in.
that's
Everything
one
else
of
from
my
there on out.
beefs with Star Trek, but when we get to the point where we criticize our favorite,
Right,
we'll talk about that.
and which we will get to.
Yeah.
But with that, let's move on to Michael.
Shit. I wasn't prepared.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so I am one of the fence-sitter rare breeds that like both equally. I am entertained by both
Pussy.
because I can
Pick
suspend
a
my
side.
disbelief for both. Because, like you said, there are flaws with both, but they are there for my entertainment. Suspension of disbelief.
What
I-
is disbelief?
I am hanging my head down at him right now.
Yeah.
For those who can't see.
In disbelief.
Because he is not suspending it for the podcast.
Disbelief.
That's a long conversation.
No.
years
Let
ago.
me
Yeah.
just.
This is a visual
Disbelief
illustration.
is what most of us have when talking to you and listening to you.
Fair enough. Because most of you are wrong.
However, whenever I'm asked the question, which do you like better, Star Trek or Star Wars? Since I like them equally, I answer Spaceballs.
Right. Right.
And my retort
which is what you answered when I
Galaxy
brought
Quest.
this up.
Correct.
Galaxy Quest.
And also a
Okay.
very, very, very good honorable mention is Orville. It shouldn't be
Oh, the
honorable mention, but anyways.
Yeah, but that's a Star Trek.
that's a whole nother
Yeah.
topic. Star Trek versus Star Wars. I like them in equal aspects. However, the fact that Star Trek is more episodic, Star Wars, unless we're talking about all the branches that Disney Plus has now created a cash cow with. And Star Trek is more episodic. You know, Star Wars is just one and done until the next one comes out. So it's easier for me to follow Star Trek lore or Star Wars lore versus Star Trek lore because there's less things to remember.
So Star Wars is better for stoners? Is that what you're saying? Or Alzheimer's
No,
patients?
they're both great for stoners or Alzheimer's
Good Lord.
patients.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Now earlier I did actually go in order of what my favorite thing, like the top four, and it incorporated both. So my number one out of them is Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
That's the correct answer.
Oh, it is the best. It's the Wrath of Khan of
now
one.
my second
There will be
favorite.
no debate about that.
My second favorite thing is Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Wow.
I know.
Hey,
I know.
that's one of those people either love it or they hate it.
Now, my next one in that is Star Trek Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
And then my next one in that is Episode 4, A New Hope. So that's my top
That's
four,
the
and it
order.
incorporates both of them.
Okay. All right.
Now there was something else that I wanted to
Yeah.
mention as well. For all its imperfections, I really liked Episode 3. Because if you if you take Star Wars out of the equation, it still holds up as a good movie.
Yeah.
And on that note, I
Can you
think
clarify? Episode 3.
Star Wars Episode
in
3.
the sequence of the actual films, because it's confusing with Star Wars.
It goes originally
Yeah,
4,
not
5,
Return of the
6,
Jedi.
1, 2, 3. So I'm talking about actual Episode 3,
What was the title of that film?
Revenge of the Sith,
Correct.
Okay.
which is
That's the one. That's one with that created the meme that gives us all of the great. I have the high ground.
I have the yes.
Oh, is
But
that
also-
the one where the entire closing sequence was stolen from the original film Frankenstein?
Okay, are you forgetting that the original New Hope first film is stolen from Usagi, or not Usagi Ujima,
Is
but
anyone forgetting that
Akira
John
Kurosawa
Williams
in
stole-
Hidden Fortress?
Right.
Stole
Okay,
all
anyways.
of the music from
Anyways.
Tchaikovsky.
What I wanted to say was Revenge of the Sith was actually, they took the name from Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Because on original movie posters it was called Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But Revenge didn't stick with the Jedi code, so they changed it to Return and
Right.
then used Revenge of the Sith for the third one.
Right.
Very nice. Very
Oh,
impressive.
never mind. I put a lot of facts.
That's okay.
Stupid
We're
things.
gonna make it back around.
Okay.
Facts are
All right.
important. I
All right.
actually.
Yeah, we're gonna
because
make it back
there's
around.
gonna be a lot
If
of
it doesn't get
opinion,
said, I'll
Yeah,
I will
yeah,
bring this
facts
up
are
again.
actually.
I don't think that's
Yeah,
true.
Somebody should tell Chris Collinsworth that.
All right, but so we're gonna
Yeah,
first
I'm
go
done.
around and give our favorite.
Overarching.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have a discussion. And yeah, at the end of this, we're all gonna get together and take a picture of our Star Wars or Star Trek tattoos, and that's what we're gonna put on YouTube.
Okay.
All right.
I can't
so,
show mine.
Bill, Let us guess.
Alright, so UPC, I know you will love part of my reasoning for why I am on the Star Trek side of the fence. Again, if I'm at home, like, no, not like Michael, where I'm on the fence, but if I'm at home and for the most part, if a Star Wars movie comes on, I'm watching it. It's, like you said, it's entertaining. It's way better than most of the shit we had in the 70s.
Unless Blues Brothers is on another channel.
No, not really.
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, we can all agree with that.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Dune.
Dune, yeah, but that's not what this show is about.
You mean the Sting
Last
movie?
Tango in Paris.
Yeah, the movie was Sting. Yeah. So,
And Patrick Stewart.
yeah, Patrick Stewart was in it. So anyway, but one of the reasons why I am a Star Trek fan, being born in the 60s, I was alive at least when it aired the originals. Whether I saw them or not, I honestly can't tell you. However, what I can tell you is that as a family, we ate dinner together every night. The typical nuclear American.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
R.I.P. George W. Bush.
Yeah. But it was the one show that if it came on, my dad would ask my mom, would it be okay if the boys and I went in and watched Star Trek while we ate dinner? And we would take our plates into the other room and sit and watch Star Trek. And so nostalgically, was my first. And
This is Becky.
Don't even.
Well,
You're in a time rift.
One day she's gonna listen to this.
Singularity.
Yeah. But what I will say is, I mean, I enjoy the Star Wars movies, and yeah, my goodness, I mean, when 4 came out, wow, I mean, holy crap! And what year was that?
77.
77.
77.
77.
And it came out, and the effects were, I mean, like you mentioned, UPC, the stone rocks. Oh, one of the worst things.
Foam rocks.
Foam. Did I say stone
No, that was
rocks?
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Star
That's
Trek,
foam
that's what I
rocks.
mean. The foam rocks in Star Trek compared to what they had in Star Wars, where they used polyethylene, way better. But some of the stunt work in the original Star Trek, God, you could tell when it broke from Kirk to, William Shatner
The stuntman.
to the stuntman and back to Shatner,
Fighting the
and it was so obvious. But at the same time, thinking about the fact that this came out in the 60s,
Yeah.
and the stuff that they were doing has literally led to inventions
Yeah.
of things. Yeah, cell phones. Tricorders. We all carry a tricorder now. And wait a minute.
Well, yeah, not UPC.
Yeah, but
I don't want to be
But I mean,
tracked
they were-
by the Federation.
yeah, there were so many things. As a matter of fact, I interviewed a person one time, was one of the head scientists, top men of the Air Force, and it's a bigwig dude who had an office that had couch, chairs, coffee table,
Ooh.
and there was one book in the middle of the coffee table, and it was called The Science of Star Trek. So he didn't have the science of Star Wars or, how to make a metachlorian. I realize, I get it, I understand. But I enjoyed, and my favorite will always be the original series. And then, Deep Space Nine, there were parts of it, but then it got into that mystical religious aspect of the the Bajoran and the wormhole and all of that, and I'm like, and Cisco being like a emissary, and it just kind of
Jumped the space shark?
yeah, it jumped, it quantum leaped
No,
the
that was
show.
Enterprise, I believe.
Right, yeah, that was Scott Bakula. They screwed that up so badly.
I enjoyed it,
Yeah, well,
but I like Star
didn't
Wars.
see it.
so.
You were the one.
but as far as favorites go, the original will always be my favorite. I mean, it's what started it all. I mean, unless you bring in Doctor Who, but that was a little bit different.
We're not doing that one because everyone
Yeah.
loves Doctor Who.
Yeah, but it started it.
Only if it's
and
Tom
then
Baker.
and as Michael pointed
Because
out,
you haven't watched the rest.
Star Wars regenerated, if you will, reinvigorated Star Trek, but Star Trek gave the platform for Star Wars. So which came first? Well, Star Trek did. And so the original is my favorite. Next Generation minus Wesley was
Oh, fuck that little punk.
great.
He was only in one season.
Was great. Yeah, so was Crosby, and
And Dr. Pulaski also. Fuck
yeah.
her.
But I enjoyed, because Picard, and Patrick Stewart is one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
From Dune to doing a one-man Broadway show of A Christmas Carol,
Yep.
to other things that he's done.
Dr.
and
Lear.
then
I mean,
the new,
King Lear. Sorry.
King Lear.
the 3 seasons of Picard, and I gotta say this
Crown of
about
Thorns,
that. In sorry if I spoil it, screw you. It was 5 years ago when this came out. But when Patrick Stewart started acting in the first season of Picard, he looked old and fucking tired. And I was like, dude, retire. You're from Britain. You have free medicine and all this shit. Just retire. And then about, 6 episodes, I don't know if it was 8 or 10 episodes, all of a sudden you're like, he's been acting tired.
Yeah.
He was acting, and he got me.
Acting!
And, yeah, thank you.
Oh wait,
He's
we're
a
talking
master
about Picard?
thespian.
Picard.
Oh yeah.
Acting.
Yeah,
So
Picard.
I flare.
The whole backstory of Star Trek and Captain Pike and the menagerie and all of that with Captain Pike comes full circle around with this new show, Strange New Worlds, which is amazing if you haven't seen it.
Check it out.
Discovery was awesome for a little while, but then, come on, a spore-driven drive with mushroom spores. Okay, whatever.
It's got one more season.
Yeah, I'm not watching it. And then even somebody mentioned the J.J. Abrams stuff. I like Chris Pine. I think he does a great job. The guy, I can't think of his name, who plays Spock.
Zachary Quinto.
Yeah, Zachary Quinto. I've heard of Catorce, but he does a great job. I think the guy, putting a comedian in for Scotty, was great.
Well, that guy is a Star Trek nerd.
I
Up the
understand,
nose.
but he did a great job.
Yeah, he helped write it.
I understand that. Yeah. But I mean, the fact that
I didn't know that.
But what
Yeah.
bothers
And he's
me about that is
I'm Scotty.
the whole idea behind the idea, the whole idea, the concept that we're going to keep canon, but we're going to separate and take a separate timeline. And then your second movie is a remake of the fucking Wrath of Khan. Why would you do that? You already had it. I mean, and that didn't. It was a great movie. I loved it. It was a great movie. The guy who plays Captain Pike in that, and I don't know who it is. I can't remember his name. He does a great job. You know, I stand relieved. You know, like no, you're in a wheelchair. You know, I think South Park did that one better. But I, you know,
Simpsons did it better.
But my, you know, I just didn't make any sense to me. I like the idea of an alternate timeline, and you can still keep canon, but why repeat it? A lot of people don't know this. After the Wrath of Khan, Ricardo Montalban had a hard time finding work because nobody wanted to hire an ex-con. My all-time favorite Star Wars movie, and I do like the first one. I like, you know, Wrath. You know, I mean, the greatest line ever, the greatest love line ever in the history of movies is Spock and Kirk in the Wrath of Khan at the end.
Incorrect.
What?
It's the second.
No,
You already
you're a
said
Star
the
Wars
Wrath
guy.
of
You
Khan.
don't count. But, you
Don't
know,
give it away. No
Yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah.
No
right.
spoilers from 1982.
No, he meant that what his side of the fence he's on. But you know that line, you know, with like you said, yours was the most human and overacting. Thank you. But my all-time favorite Star Wars movie, Star Trek movie, is Nemesis.
Oh, okay.
And I remember
You're a huge Tom Hardy fan?
Christmas Day evening, the night of Christmas, not Christmas Eve. We've opened the presents, we've had the goose, we've had dinner, we've had all the
evening,
festivities.
right? We get it.
Everybody's
Picard
passed
thing?
out watching boring NBA. I hopped in the car, drove to Orono, Maine, and sat in the back of the theater with there were maybe 4 other nerds in there, and I watched Star Trek Nemesis by myself, and it was the greatest Christmas present I could have ever gotten myself. Neutrals don't go.
I know. But it still opens.
Yes, it did.
Was this the main theater where on Christmas Day you got a free thing of popcorn and the Jergens lotion?
No,
Oh, that's different.
no, there was no popcorn.
That was just the butter.
The thing about cracking.
Okay, so the other thing, a lot of people don't know this, but so yeah, I'm a Star Trek guy. I like Star Wars. It's just I'm so much Star Trek. If Star Wars was never created, I would be okay.
Except you wouldn't have the rest of the Star Trek.
You're probably right.
That's an option.
If we didn't have Star Trek, ladies would not have had for a few years a clothing line that William Shatner had created, but he went out of business. Don't spoil it. He went out of business because nobody wanted Shatner pants.
And on that note, we're gonna move on to Paul.
Okay.
So, I would just like to
Are
point
you
out.
okay?
I would just like to point out.
He's visualizing a memory.
that-
That's what
I knew it was coming.
All right, listen, guys. I just want to point out that now we're going to listen to someone who actually has a PhD in this shit. What's your favorite?
Nicely played. Well, my clear favorite with the two, and I do like both of them. So I'm not anti Star Trek, but certainly my favorite is Star Wars, and that doesn't mean
The doctor has spoken.
Doctor Who?
Dr. Pee-Pee.
Fabulous. So yeah, and that doesn't mean Star Wars hasn't had its failures, and I haven't been disappointed. It was greatly disappointing to wait so long between having the first 3 films and then being so disappointed with the next three that they chose to make. But that doesn't mean that I don't like the franchise and sort of the long storyline. And I think that's part of my draw is I like waiting for this big production that's going to move along something that's got a string that attaches the other things. Now, having said that, I really did enjoy, and I was a kid when I saw the Star Trek episodes, and most of them were in reruns by the time I can remember them, but they were fantastic in that they were episodic, right? You had this moment, this particular world, this phenomenon. They dealt with it, and I really liked Shatner's overacting. It was great, and then which is completely counterbalanced by Spock's persona. It's fantastic. And I also just waited every episode where there was some engineering threat, and and Scotty, and they'd be like, the captain would go, Scotty, how's it look? Oh, we've got to, and this and it's gonna break, and he's like, it's going to take me 24 hours, and Kirk would say, you've got 15 minutes. I'll see what I can do, was always his response.
Captain, I've given it all I can.
Exactly.
If only I had more dilithium crystals.
Captain.
And it was
We replaced
fantastic.
her dilithium crystals with Folgers.
Right. And my mom, to exaggerate situations, used to use the word conniption. Oh no! And then the guy had a total conniption, and I'm pretty sure that Bones was the first TV person that I regularly saw having a conniption. He didn't know what to do with his face. So I really enjoyed that series a lot, and I enjoyed Next Generation. What's the 9? The
Do you say so?
not so much. And by the way, if Saturday Night Live, if Saturday Night Live still had any guts at all, they would have a recurring scene where they do like what South Park does with Kenny, and they'd have some Star Trek skit, and every time at the end of it, Will Wheaton would be killed, and Will Wheaton would be down with it.
Okay.
He seems to have a sense of humor about the whole thing, especially from the watching the Big Bang Theory stuff. Yeah, question.
So all of us who are in any way Star Trek fans, I sense that we all agree that Wesley Crusher was unnecessary.
Nope.
And
Nope.
what?
Nope.
No.
He
Wow.
played an integral role and
Very.
became something special.
Very.
Now he spent the
It was just a younger.
Hey, that's my line.
He was just a younger. Right. He was a younger person. He just having. It's when you have a particular role, especially when you're younger, it's hard to outgrow it and all of that. So it's easier to poke fun at, even though I don't think it was laughably played, but I think he has some sense. He comes across as having some sense of humor about, that's kind of the way things are, and I think he'd play it up, and I just think it would be very funny. So yeah, but also I saw Star Wars. In the theater when it came out, and that was amazing. And there are also a couple of things that tie together both series, which is just having interesting special effects and having an impact on sci-fi that came after it. And I'm with UPC that when it comes to genres can be. Borrowing from multiple genres can be like mixing paint, right? And if you put enough of one color in the mix, you can't subtract it. And as soon as you go fantasy, as soon as you invoke the Force, it's fantasy. Now, I'm not saying that has aspects. Star Wars has aspects of westerns. It has aspects of sci-fi. Certainly, it has aspects of samurai movies. Absolutely. But as soon as you throw in the color from fantasy, you can't remove it. And Star Wars isn't that. It's very much sci-fi, and that doesn't mean they don't visit a planet on occasion where there may be some phenomena we don't understand.
You mean Star Trek?
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. Yes, an episode of Star Trek. Correct. But also, and also just with the special effects, that it pushes the envelope, because there are some really good movies. Douglas Trumbull was the 2001 guy who was also the Close Encounters guy and a bunch of other movies. And then there's Industrial Light and Magic, but it just keep pushing the envelope of making these things more believable and more plausible. And I know there's some really, there's some hardcore fans that are, there's no sound in space, so why are these things exploding? And I get that, but it's still a little more fun. But
Who wants to watch a silent film?
right, and it's also a wee bit
People
confusing.
who love film.
Hold on, the no sound in space, that goes for Star Trek too, because those
Absolutely,
phasers went
that's my
pew,
beef
pew,
with
pew,
both
pew,
of them.
pew.
Or just when a ship passes by and you hear a rumble.
Yeah, well, no
Like,
one can
no,
hear.
there should be no rumble. Unless the camera is inside the ship, you hear the rumble inside the ship.
But the interesting,
when a TIE fighter goes by and it goes,
but the interesting
what the fuck is that?
right, but the interesting contrast with 2001, because
It's
that
an
may be
amazing sound, and it's my text.
there you go, because that may be something that everyone's seen as compared to those to Star Trek and Star Wars, where we are hearing sounds in space when we see the lasers and kaboom. In 2001, except for when Dave needs to break himself basically back into the ship, which is harrowing unto itself, and even more frightening because you can't hear
I
it.
thought we weren't talking about terrible movies.
I'm sorry.
We're talking about the greatest sci-fi.
Well,
movie
okay,
ever made.
well, that's entirely different. I was just invoking Trumbull. That's why I went there. There are no battles, right? And it would have been weird if there were battles and you don't hear that. And then of course, so I don't mind that in the least. But I love Empire Strikes Back. I love the number 4, A New Hope, and I really liked Rogue One.
Yeah.
Rogue One was really
I
good.
thought that
That's
was
probably my
Okay,
I thought that was
So,
really excellent.
As a Star Trek guy,
Yes, sir.
Rogue One is definitely the best out
Newer.
of the 9 the canon films of Star Wars. Rogue One is the best outsider film, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
The side project film.
it's
I think I hear
One
what you're
is
saying.
the-
It's very well done.
Amazing.
Yes, sir.
I may have my numbers crisscrossed.
Sure.
And I know it only takes 1 point to beat a team like the Chiefs.
Way to make this episode timeless.
Yes. But I believe Star Trek has 10 motion pictures. Star Wars has 9.
11.
Do they have 11?
Yeah, there's Rogue One and Solo plus the 9.
Okay, I'd have to. Okay,
episodes.
and then there are 13 Star Trek TV shows
What?
and 12. Well, you got to take a look at Lower Decks,
Yeah.
and there are 12 Star Wars
Okay,
TV
are we
shows.
are
No,
we gonna
no,
do
no,
like the
no,
Star
no.
Wars Christmas special?
Well,
No,
we're
I'm
gonna-
just
what are we
gonna
talking
name
about?
these
Are we doing
13.
a
Well, I'd
live?
have
No,
to
we can just
call
have
my
Google
magic
fact
Google
checkers
box.
check that.
Yeah.
I looked it up
Our
before the
research
show.
team, we'll
Yeah.
have them check it
I
out.
looked it up before the show.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you on that.
But Larry's right on the movie count.
I know I am.
All right. But so just lastly, it's also just the characters carrying everything through was part of it for me, because they introduced new ones, and I think they did some stupid things with the cast. I know the cast is older, with killing off some people, but that's another thing that helps me carry it through, is that the new Star Trek stuff, even though I don't dislike it, it's just it's the switching characters, having actors in playing roles that they hadn't played before is just something that's a little less consistent. Doesn't mean that they're not good, and certainly Alice Eve is probably the best thing about the newer Star Trek movies, in my humble opinion. But
I am on board with you.
Yeah,
I am not. One of the fatal flaws of Star Trek is they kept playing around with time travel. The original series had that. They had, we time traveled to Nazi Germany, or we did all this shit. that to me is the most annoying fucking thing about Star Trek is time rifts, time travel, alternate universes, and that's why I'm not so much on board with the newer.
Yeah, you're a Tom
series.
Baker fan.
A what?
Tom
Tom Baker fan.
If I have to be a fan of, this is not a Doctor Who episode, sir.
But his literal thing is time travel.
But all Doctor Who
Right,
is.
but that's part of the
Anyway,
conceit
anyway,
as
it doesn't
opposed to introducing it at a different time.
Yeah.
I'm with you. So
But Star Trek seems to have like embraced the hey, everybody's buying all this time travel shit. Like Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, that film.
The best Star Trek.
It's a funny one, but the conceit of it is annoying to me. It's like, oh, we'll just do like Superman and circle the Earth and make it go backwards. Instead, we'll just go around the sun and we'll just warp into time in a Klingon warbird and whatever. And now we're here on Earth in the 90s. Or late 80s.
Awesome.
Sorry.
I understand-
line-
I understand your
Awesome.
criticism.
It's not your turn.
It's
The line I most
it's
quote,
silly.
the line I most quote from The Voyage Home is, "Remember where we parked."
No, double dumbass on you.
No, mine is. He did too much LDS in the 60s.
Another
How
one.
about
Another-
nuclear vessels? We need nuclear
all right.
vessels.
Hold on.
This
This is not time for discussion. We will get to that. Are you done?
I am finished
Dr.
with my.
Paul.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
All right. Are you ready, Ferg?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right.
All right, because well, I'm just gonna start off by saying, "Fuck you, George Lucas."
Tell us how you really
Right.
feel.
One, hard shot first. Period.
Agreed.
Well, you know, and that's when you start fucking up your fucking. Ugh. God, you dumb motherfucker.
Wow.
With your $4.2 billion.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so, and
Way to go.
I know.
Dumbass.
Still waiting on my $1 billion, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, George Lucas fucked up his entire thing, and people still love it. People still go, "Hey, it's Star Wars. I don't care. You just stick a Star Wars sticker on it, and I'm going to eat it up, because fuck it, I don't give a shit. It says Star Wars. It's going to be good." No, it's not. Look, when I was a child, 4 years old, almost 5.
So still 4.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying my math for me. No, the Star Wars came out. Fuck Color New Hope. I'm not doing it. It's fucking
Right.
Star Wars.
Yep.
And as a 4-year-old child, it was fucking amazing. My parents took me to the theater to see it. It's a little family. It was great. At Christmas got all the action figures, and it was it's all that anybody could do. It was just like Star Wars everywhere. It was awesome. It was amazing, and and then like a couple years later, the Empire struck back, and yes, that was also amazing and awesome, and and then Return of the Jedi, it's good, but those two were awesome and amazing, and I do have issues with the Ewoks, like really,
Yeah. Go on.
but again, I was, at that point in time, I was still only like. It's 82, so I was like 10.
80,
82.
83.
What is this? The math?
No.
Maths.
It's
No,
83.
it's 83.
Yeah. Okay.
They released every 3 years after 77.
Fine. Whatever. So I'm,
That's what I do.
yeah, I'm still like 10 years old. It's, December.
Right.
But
No, you
82.
just drink a lot.
Yes. 80.
That wasn't it.
You're right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The original trilogy was my childhood. It's like, and that's like what we did. We we played Star Wars. I mean, I had the Han Solo blaster. I had like a little, race car game, like, the little racetrack where you had the guns that you try not to shoot it off the track and stuff.
Like slot car.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And,
Slot car.
and but it was, it was a X-wing and a TIE fighter that you would race, and Star Wars was amazing growing up. And then in the mid '90s, they re-released them, and things went wrong.
Yep.
All of a sudden, Greedo shot first.
Right, like, that's not how it. That's not how it
Stepped on
happened.
Jabba's tail?
I've never seen you look so sad in my life.
Right? Yes.
They took my childhood.
Oh my God, the
Now-
fucking
now-
Jabba in that re-release
Now-
version.
Now,
Now he looks
that
like
scene, that scene was a
lump
cut
of
scene.
fucking.
It was a cutscene from the original.
Yeah,
But
that was originally. filmed.
Okay, yes, it was originally filmed. However,
There's a reason why people cut scenes.
when they redid it, they redid Jabba as CGI.
Right.
So I know it was an original scene, but that original scene would have had animatronics first,
Right.
and it would have looked a whole lot more real
Right.
than something.
Practical
Yeah,
effects
it was
versus
Put into it.
special
more
effects.
like Return
We don't have
and less like
spaceships.
but
it did.
Garbage.
but then and then it was funny. It's like I remember I was in the Navy when they re-released that those movies, and it was Empire is about to come out or be re-released. It's like the opening night of it, and there's a crowd around the block lined up to go to the theater. Me and a buddy of mine are driving past the theater, and he yells out, "Vader's Luke's father."
Like some sort of rogue spoiler
Right.
person.
So he was Rogue One.
Right.
Like 20 years
So-
later.
So I'm like, kind of like, dude, what the fuck, man? He's like, the movie's 20 years old. I don't know, but that guy looks like he has this 5-year-old child out there, with him who's never seen it before. Like, you just ruined it for the little kid. He's like, oh shit, didn't think about that. Well, no, of course not. 'Cause,
Wait. Are you actually telling us that you are upset that someone spoiled a 20-year-old film for a 5-year-old?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
They get
Why?
to enjoy it.
Exactly why
That's
Star
why
Wars,
you don't have kids.
Star Wars
And
franchise
no, and I
jumped
am
the
not-
shark.
And I am not
The
fucking
Disney
5-year-olds.
fucking thing where they had all these little fucking added on.
That was before Disney.
But
Let's
what I'm
let-
saying
let's-
is
let's
the
let Ferg
Disney
finish.
ownership. They
Well,
ruined it.
let me continue
Yeah,
to where
let
they
Ferg finish.
to where they really jumped the space shark.
I'm with you.
So like it progresses and they keep like adding new stuff or taking stuff out that was amazing and then
And then
it came out. Not the movie It, that movie that shall not be named.
Agreed.
That first episode they called or whatever. And
Episode
One.
I.
yes.
Episode
And that monstrosity, that piece of shit, basically took a big steaming pile of shit over my entire childhood. It.
sorry for laughing. It's fantastic.
Basically, yeah. You know what? About fucking 5-year-olds. Yeah. It raped 5-year-old me. That movie raped 5-year-old me. It was fuck 5-year-old me. That's what it did.
I am
No.
so glad
And
you
you,
didn't
and
have
you didn't
time to
even
prep
come
for
away
me.
feeling like you were blessed with
No.
an 8-inch cock.
No, he's in jail. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that movie, and from that day on, from when I went and saw that movie, I have not watched Star Wars. Not one of the original movies. Not, nothing. Well, okay. About a year or so ago, Nancy made me watch the
I
first.
knew it was involved Nancy's house.
made me watch the first episode of The Mandalorian. She goes, "Come on, it's not that bad," and I'm like, Well, it's not as bad as I thought,
It's really good.
but I'm still not fucking watching it. Fuck that.
also based
Fuck
off
George
another
Lucas.
Japanese
I know he's got
movie.
nothing to do with it.
But it's better than listening to Nancy's
Basically
fucking
a
country
Western.
music videos. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I enjoy those as well. But anyway, that's off topic. So yeah. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna be on the Star Trek side.
There we go.
It's also why you're sitting over there.
Well, so
Oh wait, we did end up on sides, didn't we?
oh shit,
Kinda.
yeah. But I did grow up watching Star Trek. Like like during, in summers, I stay up late at night
Right.
and be on at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And because 8-year-old me is like, I don't have to go to school. I don't have to go to bed. And my parents had to go to work in the morning, so they
were asleep. And
they were sick. They didn't know. They
Yeah,
know I
we're
was,
keeping track of you.
Right. So, but and yes, and again, the original series I am a way bigger fan of than any of the other series or incarnations that come after, because it was just better, other than maybe the special effects or lack thereof. But yeah, the
Oh, we're back to thumb rocks and rubber Gorn mask.
These
Yeah.
these
And
red
fucking-
lights are going this
and
way. and the
fucking
blue
green
lights are
alien chicks. Let's not forget about that.
yeah, no, I fucking
Oh,
pretty alien
we-
too.
Whoa, hey.
You know, I've realized tonight that Mets fans are angry.
About what?
I'm not even wearing
Life.
I'm not even wearing that hat tonight. I mean, hell. But yeah. It's but they. Yes, Paul.
Well, just a brief interlude. I didn't want to interrupt you. If you are you done with your?
Oh, I still have a freaking hour to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So you're done. and we'll save that for the discussion.
This is part one of the Star Trek
just-
versus Star Wars.
No, we'll
I
save
just-
that for a discussion.
I just wanted to mention, and this isn't to denigrate the Star Trek movies, but in terms of the phenomena that Star Wars is, there's a great, dear listeners, there's a great website out there, you probably know it, called Box Office Mojo. And there's a
Never heard
of it.
there you go. There's a there's a paywall for some of it now because somebody bought them, but a lot of the information you can get. And one of the great lists they have, well, they have two great lists. One of them is all-time box office, right? What movie made the most money? Period. End of story. But then they have adjusted gross, which is really the translation is how many people saw this movie in a theater. And the number one all-time movie is still Gone with the Wind. Because at the time Gone with the Wind came out, everyone went and saw it. And then they
Because they had nothing else to do.
Exactly. But it's not that it's not a really good movie, but you're right. That was the only game in town and it was awesome. And then they re-released it a few times, all that kind of stuff. But here's a ridiculous stat. In terms of all-time box office adjusted, 10 of the Star Wars movies are in the top 100. Which means of the top 100 movies ever seen in the theater, 10 of them are Star Wars movies.
1/10.
People go
Yeah.
to the Star Wars
So,
movies.
are you claiming that because something
claiming.
is popular, it is good?
No, I am not.
Okay.
I'm
Those
sim-
are
I'm
two
simply-
separate statements.
No, I'm simply
You
pointing out a
introduced
fact.
a new idea.
Because there's other ones people wouldn't guess. The third most popular movie ever seen, gone to in a theater, is The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
But just think about how many people
The
had to go
hills are
see
alive.
The Sound of
'Cause
Music.
With the
That's the only-
sound of
that's the only game in
Griswold.
town.
Understood, right? No, well, yeah, but there were other games at the time. It's kind of late in the going. But I think that's a really interesting stat. And then lastly, because we keep mentioning things based on other things, George Lucas is extraordinarily good at taking ideas and turning them into things. But one thing I've never heard him talk about is his early movie THX 1138.
Yep.
Oh wow!
It is the script. The entire story is very much the novella Anthem by Ayn Rand. It really is.
Yep.
And it's not in the
I'm familiar with that.
right, and it's not in the credits of the movie,
Yeah.
and I've never heard him refer to it, which kind of blows my mind.
But
there it is.
I would love to point out that the sound technology, the movie sound technology that Lucasfilm developed.
Yes.
What was it called?
THX.
THX.
Also, the Millennium Falcon's call sign is
Yep.
THX 1138.
There you
Sure
go.
is.
Yes, sir.
Two things. One, going back to the discussion, I think it was you were talking about, and this whole idea of there's no sound in space and all of that. Okay, maybe I'm getting too far ahead. So, in your statistical lookup that you were looking up,
Yes, sir.
did it happen to mention any crossover that trebles are Ewok eggs?
I've not. Now I do
Tribbles.
see this as one of.
You said troubles. I'm thinking like Northern
Yeah.
Ireland.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going
Yeah,
on?
they're tribbles. Get it right, you scruffy little
I do see this, however, as one of the great, as one of the great conspiracy theories that actually is based in
Built
fact.
100 bridges.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Yes, sir.
can we hold back the
Yeah,
discussion
100%.
sorry,
for
sorry.
the last person to
God.
give
Yes.
theirs?
Do you have a
Larry.
pen?
Larry.
Well, wait for
Larry.
the last person to give their discussion about this, and then we can all talk about
You
shit.
think
Larry.
it's important?
You asked
What?
if we could wait. You've
Yes.
been to every podcast. No, we can't.
know.
Except for one.
He's
Except
I
for
know,
two. Okay,
Could you
two.
try harder?
This is like hurting nerfs.
This podcast was founded on us just fucking doing this in a bar.
It is.
Are
It
you
is.
fucking surprised?
I
Not
am
at all.
Okay.
not. All right, so it's my turn.
All right.
It's
So
your turn
I'm
now.
guessing everyone has already guessed by now. I am a Star Wars guy. I will 100% agree with the issues that my fellow panelists have with Star Wars in Episode 1. Hence the reason, if you look at my movie collection, I will tell you I own every Star Wars movie, and it is 2 through 9. It is Rogue One and Solo, which, by the way, I love Solo.
Yeah.
And they really need to give Childish Gambino, was it
I know.
Glover.
Glover?
You mean
They really need
Donald
Donald
thank you.
Glover. Yes, they
Yeah.
really need to give him a Lando Calrissian series. Holy crap!
He played that
killed
character
it.
so well.
Killed it.
I will give
But
you
he
that.
killed it.
He kills
acting.
everything he's in, though.
He
Just to
does.
be fair.
He does.
If he
The
agrees
Martian.
to change his rapper name,
The Martian.
it's terrible.
That's a great
Holy
rapper name.
crap!
It's intentional.
He was so good. Yeah.
I
But-
don't- I don't care.
What's his rapper name?
Childish
Childish
Gambino.
Gambino.
When was the last time Paul listened to rap?
But again, it's my turn.
Sorry.
So, yes, I am a Star Trek fan also. I grew up, like everyone else, watching the original series and reruns. I think I had already mentioned that I've been to every Star Trek movie in the theater with my mom. My dad was not a Star Trek fan, so I went to all of them. I was recently explaining to Bill that if I ever watch Wrath of Khan around other people, I can only do it while he's around, because his crying will be much uglier than mine, and people won't notice I'm crying.
the dilithium crystal chamber.
Oh God!
That actually
It
checks
never
out.
got. It never
Look,
got me
come
before.
Come on.
It never got me before.
I'll
I
admit
watched
that
it.
I
watched it.
cry.
I watched
in that
it last.
scene. I will
watched
admit
it.
that I
Like
cried
I said,
at that scene.
it never got me before, but I watched
That
it
is
last
so-
week. I watched it last week, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
maybe it's my kids getting married. Maybe I don't know what it is, but
Menopause.
maybe.
Man,
This is another discussion, but I've also had a thought recently that the reason men get so grumpy as they get older is because they actually soften up and they're really mad about it.
So I'm going to get grumpier.
Yes.
Damn, I used to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've
You know,
seen this
what-
movie.
When are you gonna put a ring on it?
I've seen that movie a million times and never, ever. But this time I'm watching it and it's like, oh God, I could never watch this in front of people again. So,
Pussy.
and
Hey, I didn't get
and,
Rathacon on Golden Pond, like just for some fucking reason.
All right, now you're the
weird.
pussy.
all right. So,
Just
but
watch you on Golden Pond.
as far as, again, I agree with you on episode 1. I agree with everyone who mentioned midi-chlorians, because you know what? They were only in episode 1 and never mentioned again.
Yeah.
Because it was fucking stupid.
I wouldn't know because
And
I
it
haven't seen
destroyed
anything after
you
that.
should.
I will not.
You should.
It destroyed their entire mystical bullshit.
Right.
Their
which is why
hokey
they did
religion,
away with it. Which
as
is
it
why
was
they did
called.
away with it.
Yeah.
As it was. But, Rogue One,
All
incredible.
religions are hokey. But
Mandalorian, amazing. As a kid, in the theater watching Empire, the one line that got me, that everyone will see when we all show off our tattoos, is no disintegrations. And then the love of Boba Fett was born. Now, the book of Boba Fett, not so much. I will say that Jon Favreau, love you. You do amazing work. And I don't know how much you had to do with the book of Boba Fett, but the idea of Boba Fett getting out of the Sarlacc pit, I've read the Bounty Hunters novel, and that's how it happened. But turning him into a government official, I mean, it's fucking Boba Fett. I mean, yeah, he was called a crime lord, but he was hanging out talking to the mayor about, what problems are affecting the city. What the hell? Anyway, I'm going to close out this part and open up our wide discussion with one of my favorite scenes in Big Bang Theory. They were getting ready to watch the Star Wars movies, and Wolowitz goes to put in episode 1, and Sheldon says, "What are you doing?" He says,
as one
starting the movies. Start with episode 1." He was like, "Oh no, you don't. We start with episode 4. I prefer to have my childhood ruined in the order George Lucas intended."
That's fabulous.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's fabulous.
All right. So, Bill, you had some stuff to say, and let me just throw this out there. Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. Two things came to mind. One that I didn't bring up. Somebody mentioned that that Star Trek was episodic, and it was. And one of the interesting things about the episodes,
Except Deep Space Nine. Which is why
and
some people don't like
Deep
it.
Space Nine and Enterprise with Scott Bakula. It was supposed to be episodic, but they went on a Gorn Fest or the Andorian Fest. Can't remember. I quit watching it.
Yeah. No, Strange New Worlds is the
And hold on,
Gorn Fest.
Yeah.
did you say Gorn or porn?
Yeah, so I've heard it both ways.
All right, because
Well, right.
I have to rewatch it.
No. These
When you're
episodes
on a
last an hour, not
Deep
12
Space
minutes.
Nine. Deep Space Nine. If you're on a fucking space station, there's not a lot of strange new worlds that you're gonna encounter.
Well, they had a wormhole, so they did.
Yeah, and that's how they.
Yeah, and the Dominion
Got
and
around
all that.
it.
But anyway, one of
Bullshit.
the interesting things about about the Star Trek episodic adventures of the original series was when it took place. What, 68 to 71?
Yes.
60, yeah. There was a lot of shit going on in the world. And they addressed it head on. They tackled moral problems.
Social
it was
dilemma.
a morality play, if you will. You remember the episode where they had the one guy who was black on the left side, white on the right, and he was trying to kill the guy that was black on the right side, but was white on the right.
Yeah.
And well, you can't have that.
Yeah, this
and
is,
then Kirk and Uhura
First interracial
first
kiss
interracial
on
kiss.
TV?
Although I'm not sure if that's actually true.
I think it
On
was him.
TV,
It
yes.
was him and the alien first.
Yeah, well, but
First interracial human kiss
human
on
kiss.
TV.
But
That
On
is-
primetime television.
yeah,
On Prime.
but there was also there were episodes that were morality based. There was one where, and again, it was a kind of a time travel one, where they ended up on a ancient planet, and they were sun worshippers. And I remember Lieutenant Uhura, who it's just weird to me that our biggest Star Wars fan in the podcast is married to someone named after Lieutenant Uhura's actress,
Yes.
Nichelle.
Nichelle
How many
Nichols.
people know somebody named Nichelle?
Everyone at this?
Everyone here.
I thought you were talking about
Only,
Nichols.
only lucky
And
ones.
he's a
Look,
Star
I've
Wars
met.
fan. Yeah.
But, yes.
Yes. But
But I did actually introduce her and her mother to Nichelle Nichols.
Wow.
yes. And Nichelle's middle name is Jar Jar. And,
Wait.
but
We should show.
yeah,
Nichols.
yeah, Nichols, yeah. But
I've heard it both ways.
there's one where they talk about these people worship the sun, and Lieutenant Uhura points out at the end of it, they're not worshiping the sun in the sky, they're worshiping the Son of God. It brought religion into it. It brought morality into it. The Nazi thing you talked about. It brought a lot of morality play stuff into it.
Yeah, that's what good sci-fi
The
does.
second thing I would say is, as far as, so I don't know how long we have, so I'm going to say it, and I lost the t-shirt or I got fat and threw it out. But I used to have a
I've heard it both
t-shirt that
ways.
said Dathan and Picard at Eladrill.
Oh.
September 1993, and Picard has got a flying V guitar like it's a rock concert, and it's the TMaT episode.
Yeah.
And
Darmok.
Darmok, sorry,
Darmok.
At
Darmok.
Tanagra.
Darmok and Gelada Tanagra.
Get your
Shaka,
facts straight.
Shaka the walls fell. His wings unfurled. His sails unfurled. I don't remember all of it.
His eyes wide open.
Yeah, his eyes wide open, his arms closed. Temba. And whoa, I just got goosebumps. It's such a great, stupid episode because Picard's on the planet with this guy, and he figures it out, and they've got a android on the ship that can't fucking figure out that they speak in metaphor faster than the old guy. That one and the one where Picard gets zapped by the probe and learns to play the little flute thing and lives an entire different life and never forgets it. Wow. And it's funny that my two favorite, as much as I love the original, my two favorite episodes are
Next
Next
generation.
Next
Generation.
Gen. And I love the meme that, what was her name? Denise Crosby? She looks
Oh,
at Data and she goes,
Tasha
Data.
Yar?
Tasha Yar, and she says, Data, that never happened last night. and if you want it to keep not happening, you'll be in my quarters at 0900.
But before that, Data said, I am fully functional in
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
ways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very
All
nice.
right. That's my take.
All right.
All right. Well, nobody has brought up what?
Bro, what?
Well, he was about to
I
say
don't know.
it. He
You
was about to
raised your
say it.
hand.
But I was about to say, yeah,
You
Data,
interrupted
Data
me.
was a fully functioning Death Star.
You raised your hand.
No, that's not a moon. That's a space station.
Oh, so you've seen Picard? So, yeah, but nobody's brought up the greatest Star Trek series of modern times, which is the one we didn't know we needed.
Which one?
Strange New Worlds.
It's amazing, Captain Pike. I
It's
did bring it up.
incredible.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I have mixed reviews.
Oh.
No, it is incredible.
When-
And they found Scotty.
When Captain Pike joined the crew of Discovery for the one season, it ramped that thing up out of like into warp 12,
Well,
and
it was needed after Michelle Yao
yeah.
because she killed it.
Yeah,
Friggin'
and,
Giorgio.
and then to do a whole series with this guy who plays Captain Pike, and his hair just gets taller every episode. But you see,
Lucky.
basically they're building him up to be the role model that Kirk fashioned his command after, and they've got a young Kirk who looks like a Jim Carrey type
He does
on
strike.
the show. And at first I didn't like
What,
him.
Strange New Worlds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the fucking actor. who
Oh, I
was cast as
disagree.
Jim
I
Kirk.
disagree.
He
I
looks
did-
like Jim goddamn Carrey.
That's
Yeah,
what I said.
yeah,
but he
but-
grows.
But
he
as
grows.
you watch him,
He started out as an
Nice.
ensign, and now he's a commander.
yeah.
Yeah, but he's a goober.
Yeah, but he's better. He's a gobstopper, not a goober.
Hey, look, he beat the Kobayashi Maru, so, you know.
Yep. Sure did, because he cheated. But you know what?
You say tomato, I say go fuck
He
yourself.
got a medal.
Well,
He got a medal
There you
for
cheating.
I would like us to go
for
around
thinking outside the
and
box.
whatever franchise we prefer, I would like to hear everyone's criticism of that franchise that
Sure.
we prefer.
Yeah, let's do that.
Would you like franchise in Pensacola?
We'll start with you.
Okay, well,
Or
Star
you.
Trek. The time travel garbage. Stop doing that. It's, you know what? The original series and the movies, they did this time travel.
Love it.
And in some of the later ones, like Strange New Worlds, they're instead of time travel, they are encountering cultures that are at a stage of civilization. So now they are inserting themselves into some kind of medieval times kind of thing. But they didn't time travel the Enterprise to
Right.
Earth.
Right. They're just on a different planet.
They just found a planet at some level of civilization that was
Right.
similar to something.
Right.
I think that's a
That's a better way to
better
handle it.
way to do that.
I got you.
But still, the time travel shit is annoying.
I got no problem with the time
The other
travel.
is Next Generation. Oh my God, how many times have we had neutrinos? The only way to resolve this issue with these neutrinos is with tachyons. And now, oh my God, we got tachyons, and how? We got to use neutrinos.
Well, yeah, they obviously cancel each other out.
Apparently,
Duh.
We learned that already.
it's like, come on, just stop
It's-
it.
that's-
Neutrinos
That's
for
just
crying out loud.
physics.
Look! All we gotta do is reverse the deflector beam.
Yep, the deflector
Against the main
array.
deflector.
The
The
deflector array.
Yeah.
And it's, oh my God, that was one of the fucking lowest common denominator.
Like
Like
shit.
we gotta make we gotta write an episode. There's a deflector array, and we can do something with neutrinos, and it usually involves Wesley fucking Crusher. So let's just
For
do
one
that.
season.
By the way, reminds me, y'all look it up on YouTube or whatever, but the USS makes shit up. It's a song, and it talks all about that, like, just bounce the, detector
All right,
beam off.
we'll check that out.
you
We'll
know.
check that out.
muons and gluons have gone over?
Yeah, well, we're gonna check that out after the episode.
They're past that in the 24th
Okay, well,
century.
Bill. Nope. You gotta talk shit about.
Talk shit about Star Trek. Being episodic, the one negative is conflict for 55 minutes, resolution in 30 seconds.
Right.
That's problematic in most episodic type TV shows.
Right.
All-
And Star
all
Trek,
TV shows have episodes, so
Star Trek was no different, and they did that a lot. Where, I mean, holy mother of God, they're going to be blown out of the sky, and Picard goes,
Self-destruct makes it 2 seconds.
Yeah.
yeah. And I think they covered that in Galaxy Quest.
They did.
Yeah.
It doesn't go past that.
But you know what? The worst thing would be to be a soap opera.
Yeah.
Well, it
You're
was a
done.
space
Better
opera.
to be episodic than a soap opera.
It was a space opera.
This was your idea. No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
Star Wars. is a
Star
space
Wars
opera.
is a space opera.
It was Space Cowboys.
Yeah. Space Samurais.
That's Star
no,
Wars.
Star
I've heard
Trek.
of
Star Trek was Space
Oh.
Cowboys.
Oh,
Star
okay.
Wars is Space Samurais.
Yeah. All right. Ferg.
well, I obviously went over what I don't like about the other one.
No,
So-
you gotta shit on the one you like.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, fine. It's me shitting on it, and it's fine. You know?
So shit on Star Trek.
I hope you're not bringing someone else's shit to this and putting it on it.
No, it's not like I'm putting bag of shit in someone's door frame, sitting on fire. It's
Not anymore.
No.
I'm
Who
not
falls
I'm
for that anymore?
I'm not in college anymore.
I tried that a year ago. It's
You
like
did-
everyone knows.
You did TP my house.
Twice.
All right.
Oh, but yes.
The criticisms
my,
of Star Trek.
My problem with Star Trek. Well, Deep Space Nine. What the fuck was that?
It was the Star Trek soap opera.
Right, and
bad.
fuck that.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
Where's the one where they got lost in space for
Voyager?
Voyager. Yeah, like okay,
Lost in Space.
But it gave us
Yeah, that's
7
a
of
different
9.
show.
Right.
Lost in Space.
Right.
But
I
it gave
know.
us 7 of 9.
Danger, Will Robinson.
and which is nice.
Yeah.
No.
I think we can all agree on
Yeah,
that.
we're all men here.
Yeah.
That's- she's an attractive lady.
She is.
You know.
7 of 9.
7 of 9.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, like Bill said earlier, there is actual scientific, I mean, obviously, like teleportation is not really feasible, not at this given time.
Not at this juncture.
Right,
Wouldn't
I mean-
you prove it?
but and so they just
You knew what I was doing.
so they just do the throwaway line where the Heisenberg
Compensating.
compensator
Yeah.
is out, so we gotta do blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And,
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So you covered your
Yeah,
ass.
what does Breaking Bad have to do with it?
Nothing. I'm talking about the actual physicist, but Star Trek. It's got its faults, but there's nothing I can just go. Obviously, I'm not as irate.
So you're not gonna steaming pile on it.
No, I am not.
Gotcha.
It's like I mean, I never had the same love I did for the other one.
Right.
Which I'm
So you didn't fall as far.
right.
I got you.
So but yeah. You know what? One more time. Fuck you, George Lucas. And
All right, Michael. Shit
Well-
on Star Wars.
No, I should have to shit on both of them because I said I like them equally.
No.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, no, I really did.
Well, you're full of shit. You have
Well,
enough
you
to
can.
spread around.
That is true.
shit on Spaceballs.
I say this.
Oh, you're
But I
right.
challenge you to shit
You
on
are right.
Galaxy
Okay,
Quest.
but I say
You are
this.
right.
I say
You
this.
have to shit on Spaceballs.
I say this literally and figuratively. Don't strain yourself.
Wow. I can't shit on Spaceballs. It was a perfect movie. The only thing I can say is right now, trying to make that movie just wouldn't work.
It went plaid.
It went bad. Especially the part with the when they're searching the desert.
Oh, we ain't found shit.
Two black guys with a giant pick. We ain't found shit. That's the okay, but no, I have my faults with both Star Wars and
All right.
and Star Trek.
Well, bring it on.
The biggest thing that I have an issue with in
I think
Wars,
I think it's funny that I think all of us Star Wars guys are going to have the same problems.
I think some of the Star Trek
you know
guys
why?
did too.
But you know why?
Why?
Because Star Wars is so good. There's literally just one or two problems.
Okay, so my main problem with Star Wars is how intermittently those lightsabers work. Meaning, you see a lightsaber go across somebody, and they just disappear. When they died by a lightsaber, they just disappear.
If they're a Jedi,
Oh, and some of them just.
Oh
get,
no,
like,
hold on. Hold on. If they're a Jedi, okay. Or a Sith Lord, right?
right?
Okay. No.
No.
Darth Maul
Yeah.
survived? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, speaking of which, and now that Darth Maul survived, it violates the rule of two.
Wait, how
With
did
the
he
Darth-
survive?
No, Darth Maul survived.
Are you sure?
Yes. Canon.
In books?
No, Clone Wars.
Oh, you're right.
I know I am.
Oh.
So,
Oh.
yeah. So
Yeah,
he
it
gets
does
cut in
violate
half.
the rules of
He-
two.
and then he
Except
now-
for he was two.
So yeah, now you have a rule
Yeah.
of four, but no, there was always a rule of two: one master, one apprentice.
Right.
Well, with him surviving, violates the rule of two now,
Right.
and that's not the first time it violated the rule of two. Anyways, that's one
Yeah.
of my issues is they did not
As they
keep
set
that
rules and don't
yeah,
stick with them.
don't stick with them. But yeah, no, you have people being, their arms like sliced off or their hands sliced off by no, that's perfectly fine. It just they did not, and sometimes like you stab them through with a lightsaber and they just crumple, dead body on the floor, and this is many Jedis that were killed by either stun guns or whatever. None of the Jedis disappeared except for that one. Just the one.
Right. Right. All right.
So that's one of my biggest complaints with that.
Okay.
Um,
Because you want to
can-
see
can I-
Sir Alec Guinness cut in half.
Can I
No, I didn't want to see
just
that
add
at all.
one more complaint I have about Star Trek? They don't have a slave Leia.
Yeah.
But you
They-
do.
Hold on, they had Uhura and scantily clad aliens though. I mean,
Fair.
they were close. And the thing that I have with Star Trek is the transporter. The issues that I have. Because if you beam down multiple people using the same machine, there is a definitely high probability that some of them are going to come back right.
All right. So I would like to point out
Because
something.
they have to track and locate, and then once they locate, then they beam back up. But a lot of times, they didn't show the tracking. They were just like, bop, okay, all of them are up.
I would like to point out something. Your phone, you have a Samsung Flip, correct?
No, Razor. Motorola Razor.
Oh, Motorola Razr Flip.
Yep.
I've heard it both ways.
Okay. So if I am to remember correctly, which I may be wrong, it may only be 6 and not 8. But it's got 8 or 6 cores in the CPU.
Okay.
So basically, 6 or 8 individual CPUs in there, which each one could be tasked with handling a person. So you could send 8 people, and it would be like one computer handling each person.
With just your phone.
Now,
the other thing I want to know.
The 2400s.
Now, the other thing I want to know
how
is
many
this.
cores do you think they got?
The other thing I want to know is this. How many people just went into the ether before they perfected this technology?
A billion.
Has anyone raised this question about this?
No.
The fucking in Strange New Worlds, where apparently you can use the buffer of the transporter system to just save
yes.
someone infinitely.
That was brought up in Next Generation.
But why was
They
that
saved
not?
Scotty in the buffer.
Scotty.
Why was that not used
It was.
forever?
They saved Scotty in the buffer.
Why was it not used forever in every?
Because I think when they
Timeline
saved
of
Scotty
Star
in the
Trek.
buffer, that was the first time.
And there's also the fact
No.
of...
Scotty wasn't.
hold on. The other aspect of the transporter is
Strange New
this.
Oh,
Takes
right.
place.
It
Correct.
molecularly just disintegrates
Destroys you.
you and then beams you
And then
to
puts you
something
back
else.
together.
And then
somewhere
puts you back
else.
together. How are you the same person exactly?
You're not.
Are you doing a ship of Theseus argument?
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad
yeah.
you picked up on that.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
impressive.
because as
And
we
that's
know,
why Bones McCoy is like, I don't want to get. I'm going to do a shuttlecraft.
as we know, the transporters and the replicators all work off of trash,
Right.
and by trash we mean waste.
Okay.
All of the waste.
Those are my rants on those two, so I'm going to pass
All right.
the torch.
Your turn, Paul.
Mine's very straightforward. The great thing about sci-fi generally is that it gives you an opportunity to step outside yourself and look into the future and imagine something that maybe would be problematic or troublesome, even if there's advanced technology. And you can go, oh, I'm over here, that's over there, what would that be like? And then, of course, if you have some humanity, then you have some sympathy for the characters. And so the great thing about most of the Star Trek episodes, certainly I think the first jaunt, and then with Next Generation, and most of the time in the movies, there's that sense. There's a moral sense, right? It may not be based in an Abrahamic God, but there's still the moral sense of trying to do a good thing and doing a right thing and trying to be fair and justice. Where Star Wars tends to fail is when it's suddenly plot driven and you lose any sense of why you care about anything because it just seems to be this amorphous nonsense. And so my criticism, Star Wars, the movies that fail, they fail to do that, and it's not aspiring to the bigger thing. Just like if you want to be a guitar player and a singer, and you want to play in Carnegie Hall, well, when you play to 12 people at a dive bar, you should play like you're playing in Carnegie Hall. You should go for that, right? It should be that effort, and the Star Wars movies that fail miss that entirely.
Following up on that, Sunday nights
David
at the
Paul.
Trail, 9 to 11. Come check out live music.
There you go.
But David Paul, you're a doctor, not a theologian.
All right.
Sorry, bless you, my son.
So what you're saying is dress
No,
for
it's
the
damn
job
it,
you
Jim.
want.
Bless you, my son.
Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Yes.
That's why I'm going to show up on my first day at Navy Fed in a Batman costume.
Brilliant.
Goddamn right. Because you want to be firm.
That's why I'm going to show up
I want to be a billionaire. So freaking
with a
bad.
banana hammock.
Yeah, they told me to dress for the job you want, not the job you have. So I showed up at the interview in a Boba Fett costume, and now I'm sitting on a bus. All right. So it's my turn,
Yes, sir.
and mine is going to go right along with Ferg's. which is fucking midichlorians. What the hell? Why? I do not have the.
Fuck you, George Lucas.
I do not have the religious issues Paul has with the Force, as far as it being, not having a deity or anything. I'm fine with that.
That's okay.
But don't turn it into goddamn parasites that live in your fucking bloodstream or
Weak.
DNA or whatever. Yeah, fucking weak sauce.
Weak.
You are correct.
Mm-hmm.
That is just fuck George Lucas, because
He didn't
George
write
Lucas.
that.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he
Did
did.
he write
He
that?
wrote episode 1.
He wrote episode. He wrote all 9 episodes.
But why was that
treatments
never mentioned ever again?
before he did the first.
Because it was
Because
clearly
everybody
a gaffe.
fucking hated it.
But it was clearly an entire plot flaw because
I-
anyone could have engineered midichlorian.
Hence the hate for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I also, okay, from a different standpoint on this, is the whole point of episodes 1 through 3, in my opinion, is the downfall of the Jedi, the downfall of the Order.
Correct.
So
No, it's the
at
Clone Wars. I mean,
at the beginning,
the minute Luke says to Obi-Wan, "You fought in the Clone Wars," I was like, "Oh, I want to know about these Clone Wars."
No, right. But what I'm saying is, the technology, because the Order falls, a lot of the things are they're lost. That's why Leia calls it a hokey religion, because so much of it has been just eradicated from general knowledge.
Right.
By the Empire.
Right. It's been replaced by
And
science.
and the other reason is, like you said, everyone fucking hated it.
Fans weren't buying it.
Good points.
What?
For those of us who all hate episode 1, which I assume we all do.
I just hated
And if you
the
don't,
fact that
I'll
Jar Jar
fucking
wasn't
kill you right now.
I just hated the fact that Jar Jar wasn't a Darth.
Okay.
So other than that,
Here's the other thing. We've spoken about jumping the shark. For those of you who actually know where the term jumping the shark comes from, it was
hey, we all know.
No, but it was a book written by a guy in the 90s, early 90s, who basically coined that phrase. And
Because
he used all
of-
these examples of
Happy
Fonzie
Days.
jumping the shark and
Yeah,
Happy
literally
Days, right?
jumping the shark with a motorcycle.
But
No, and
one
skis.
of
water
the
skis.
many ways in which something jumps the shark, same character, different actor, Bewitched. Happy Days, jumping the shark, right? The other is the, fuck, what's his name? Cousin,
It?
in Brady Bunch. Where they
Oh.
bring in a new young
Cousin
character.
Oliver.
Cousin Oliver. And they bring in a new child to replace, to supplant the older, growing child actors. Well,
That's how Leonardo DiCaprio got his start.
episode 1
Yay.
also
gross.
brought in a fucking
He sucks.
cute kid. That's another reason, in addition to the midichlorian reason, why episode 1 sucks. They brought in a cute kid. Just like Terminator 2, the reason why that movie sucks is a fucking kid.
Although
No one
all right.
wants to see
wait,
an
hold
adult
on.
movie with a fucking child in it.
But I will tell you, it made for one of the greatest movie posters I've ever seen in my entire life, which was that little kid standing in the desert, and he's standing in front of one of the
little huts.
huts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his shadow is cast on that hut, and it's Darth Vader's shadow.
That was a really
And
good
it
movie
was
poster.
really good. It was like,
Well,
oh, that's
you
pretty
know what, Larry?
That's actually
I didn't go to
foreshadowing.
the theater
Oh.
on opening day to watch
see what you
that
did
film
there.
to
well,
see
maybe
the
you should have.
poster.
You probably
I went
did.
there.
You probably didn't dress as a Jedi when you
Of
went
course
either.
not. I'm not a fucking idiot.
Well,
Well, you
apparently
are,
you
but we like you anyways.
Oh, that's rich. coming from you.
Despite your, but look, by the way, just to clarify, despite your patiophobia, the really Jump the Shark was stolen by Happy Days from Jacques Cousteau. We all know that. We don't have to discuss it. what else?
All right.
Wait,
What else
Jacques
you got
or
to say,
Jean-Michel
on,
Cousteau?
on that
So,
note,
does
we are going to wrap things up.
Wait,
It is
does
getting late.
Shark Week ever jump the shark?
No.
No, the
Well,
sharks jump
they-
in Shark Week.
Literally. Literally, they
So-
jumped the shark.
Guys, we're going to wrap things up. I have to be at work in the morning. And
That's
you
not
guys
our
have...
problem.
You're right. but
I really
it's
have-
my choice.
I have two things to say real quick, real quick. Number one, so, I think Bill, you asked
God damn.
something earlier. I'm sorry, but this needs to be said.
Build a
The
pub.
reason why we have both Star Trek and Star Wars, Lucille Ball,
Correct.
Okay.
because Lucille Ball was the only one who picked
Yeah.
up the Star Wars script or
Yeah.
Star Trek script. Sorry,
Yep. That is true.
and it needed to be said.
That is true.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
second,
I
the
do
second
love
thing,
Lucy.
the second thing I needed to say is okay. Maybe it is Star Wars that I like better.
Because
Be-
it is.
Because on my going away party to move to Florida, I got blackout drunk. And apparently I was told that we found PVC pipe and argued over who was going to be Darth Vader. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and my
So
only
lightsaber
question,
battle?
my only question was, well, who won? My friend turns around. He's got a welt from shoulder to ass. He goes, "Does that answer it?" So apparently I won.
Nice.
You did way too
Good
much
job.
LDS.
Yes.
The force is strong in this one, yes.
But blackout drunk is how most people move to Florida.
Nice. Well, anyway, so
Okay, sorry. I had to say those two things.
so the debate continues. Star Wars, Star Trek. Obviously, Star Wars is better. And on that note, thank you guys for joining us, and welcome to The Men Are Talking.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, get a life!
Look, I'm a little drunk,
Boom.
okay?